Well, today I've got a treat for you. I'd like to share with you the 1969 Lafayette Radio Electronics catalog. Catalog number 690, and it was their 48th year. And it has 511 pages. And we'll get started right off the bat. I see there's no mailing label on this particular catalog, so I guess it was picked up at a retail establishment, which they had plenty of those all over the country. We had one here in Greensboro, North Carolina, and I worked there after I got out of high school. The first part of the catalog is dedicated to stereo equipment, of course. Here's the index, and we're going to move through this pretty quickly. It's in pretty good shape. This one page is starting to come out, but it's got the inserts and things of that nature in it. So we're looking at the various receivers. And I believe this was before Quadraphonic came out, but they had some very good receivers. I actually have a vintage receiver in the house that works excellent. And here's the low-end amplifier, but by no means was it any lower quality. Low-end didn't mean anything with Lafayette. It was good made, quality made equipment. Most of it made in Japan, but nowadays we would love to have our equipment made in Japan. And I see here that they have the complete stereo systems, of course, at pretty good prices. Look at there, $247. Imagine how much that would cost today. Of course, Sherwood, they carried other brands, Sherwood. Later on, they carried Sansui and some other with this. They've got Fisher equipment here. Gerard turntables. I had one of those when I was young. And their Criterion speakers were in were good bargains, good quality. And they certainly were cheaper than a lot of the higher priced speakers, so the Criterions were pretty good alternatives. Let's see here what else we got. They had kits, a Scott kit. Man, can you imagine getting your hand on a kit nowadays? They had the Dynaco, and these were top of the line amplifiers, and people nowadays, you'd have to spend $800 for probably that $100 amplifier from Dynaco. Let's see. Moving along real quickly here. They have all sorts of phonographs. Here's some that all the kids had in their bedrooms. The little with the detachable speakers. I think I have a something similar to that, and I'll try to do a review on that later one evening. I wanted to comment on the reel-to-reels. For those of you that live in the central North Carolina area, you remember WQDR in Raleigh? That was the rock and roll station to listen to. They played the complete albums back in the late 60s. Early 70s, and well, I had a reel-to-reel, and I had that recording almost constantly. And you play it back through your Lafayette amplifier, and I had some omnidirectional Criterion speakers. Wow! So they really had some high-quality reel-to-reel equipment. And look at the old-fashioned tape recorders. I have a few of those in my collection. Let's see what else we got real quickly here. There's a high-dollar one, a Roberts, $400. And, of course, they had the 8-track. And when I was young, I went with the 8-track instead of the cassettes. I thought, well, 8-track's going to be the state of the art. Well, we saw what happened to the 8-track. Speakers, excellent speakers, Criterion and Lafayette. And of course, they also carried some higher priced speakers. These are, of course, replacement speakers and enclosures. Let's move on quickly here. They had the AR. They were high quality, low efficiency, but you pumped the wattage up. They were very good quality. The ADC, EMI, Wharfdales. These are all top-notch speakers. And there's some omnidirectional types and cabinets, turntables. I think I had a Girard turntable, actually the record changer, and also had just a regular turntable. Look at there. Okay, let's move in. And I had the cartridges, replacement stylus, needles for everything you could imagine. And they even had tubes. We sold tubes. And of course, parts. We're just flipping through it here. TV sets, accessories for your cars. Look at that world band radio. That's neat looking. Okay, let's move along. Some more world band radios, drum sets. Have you looked on eBay to see what the price of a tube guitar amplifier is? Well, you won't be getting them for $40. You might get one for $300 or $400, but you'll be lucky if you do. A vintage one. A vintage one's high dollar. Here's the Intercoms. Look at this deluxe one. Wow, that looks vintage. Phones. That kit right there is nice. I would love to have it. And oh boy, let's see what else. Yeah, let's move on here. All sorts of stuff here. Of course, they have got the volt-ohm meters and test equipment. You could even get oscilloscopes, signal generators. Look at that stuff. A Simpson meter for $94. Oh, you wouldn't even be able to look at it for $94 nowadays. Parts. I love parts. It's just great to look at an old catalog. Even this stuff, even the parts is great to look at. How about capacitors? How about those old electrolytic capacitors that you can't find anymore, like those? Well, they're all over this book. Let's move on over. Lamps, light fixtures, directional antennas. Well, I've got one of those behind me on a post. Still work great. I didn't get it from Lafayette, though, I don't think. I think I got it from Radio Shack. But I much prefer Lafayette over Radio Shack. Yeah, let's move on here. Power tools. And we're good over here in battery chargers and car accessories and everything, and cameras. And then you got in some really nice quality ham gear. And that's a 6-meter rig right here. They even sold linear amplifiers. That's a 2-meter amplifier there at the bottom. Let's move along quickly here. The Drake, these were excellent transceivers. The 2Bs, the Hammerlin, I have a couple of those in my collection. I'd love to go back in time and be able to take my money and buy anything I wanted, because they were some good stuff back then. And There's an Amico model AC 1T amateur transmitter kit for $22. You couldn't even look at it. They charge you more than that to look at them. And let's move on quickly over here to some of the CB gear. I liked CB gear when I was young too, and they had some really neat looking CBs before I got into ham radio, of course. And the Walkie Talkies, what can I say? These were just beautifully made. They're collectible now, and I do have a Walkie Talkie collection. I'll share that on YouTube. And just look at these things. Look at this stuff. And then over here you have some really neat looking. There's the Comstat 23 Mark 5. And then this one was, I always thought this was the best looking radio. The Comstat 25A. I actually have one of those in my collections. And it's pristine, just about like that one. And there's an old pager. Look at that thing. Well, they don't make stuff like they used to, do they? Well, that wraps it up. And I've got more catalogs, more years to show, but I won't be doing that in this video. We'll take time to do that in the next video. So until then, I'll say 73 to all of those that are ham operators out there, and we'll catch you later on.